A tour of Google Cloud Hands-on Labs. Overview. Google Cloud is a suite of cloud services hosted on Google's infrastructure, from computing and storage to data analytics, machine learning, and networking. Google Cloud offers a wide variety of services and APIs that can be integrated with any cloud computing application or project, from personal to enterprise grade. Google CloudSkillBoost is where you can access Google Cloud's entire catalog of labs and courses. You can discover learning paths, build in-demand cloud skills, track your activity progress, and validate your knowledge with badges. Quick Labs is the technology platform the labs and courses sit on. You may see the Quick Labs name in your Google Cloud Learning adventure. In this introductory level lab, you take your first steps with Google Cloud by getting hands-on practice with the Cloud Console and in-browser UI that lets you access and manage Google Cloud services. You will identify key features of Google Cloud and also learn about the details of the lab environment. If you are new to cloud computing or looking for an overview of Google Cloud and the Quick Labs platform, you are in the right place. Read on to learn about the specifics of this lab and areas that you will get hands-on practice with. What you'll learn. In this lab, you will learn about the following: the lab platform, and how to identify key features of a lab environment. How to access the Cloud Console with specific credentials. Google Cloud projects, and identify common misconceptions about them. How to use the Google Cloud navigation menu to identify types of Google Cloud services. Basic roles, and use the Cloud IAM service to inspect actions available to specific users. The API library, and examine its chief features. Prerequisites. This is an introductory level lab and the first lab you should take if you're unfamiliar with Google Cloud. Lab fundamentals. Features and components. Regardless of topic or expertise level, all labs share a common interface. The lab that you're taking should look similar to this. Read the following lab component definitions, and then locate them in the interface. Start Lab button. Clicking this button creates a temporary Google Cloud environment, with all the necessary services and credentials enabled, so you can get hands-on practice with the lab's material. This also starts a countdown timer. Credit. The price of a Lab 1 credit is usually equivalent to $1. Discounts are available when you purchase credits in bulk. Some introductory level labs, like this one, are free. The more specialized labs cost more because they involve heavier computing tasks and demand more Google Cloud resources. Time. Specifies the amount of time you have to complete a lab. When you click the Start Lab button, the timer will count down until it reaches midnight. When it does, your temporary Google Cloud environment and resources are deleted. Ample time is given to complete a lab, but make sure you don't work on something else while a lab is running. You risk losing all of your hard work. Score. Many labs include a score. This feature is called activity tracking and ensures that you complete specified steps in a lab. To pass a lab with activity tracking, you need to complete all the steps in order. Only then will you receive completion credit. Paying for a lab. Some labs are free, but others require you to pay. For those, when you click the Start Lab button, a dialog gives you the choice to launch the lab with an access code or credits. If you don't have either, click Buy Credits and follow the instructions. Reading and following instructions. This browser tab contains the lab instructions. When you start a lab, the Google Cloud Console user interface opens in a new browser tab. You will need to switch between the two browser tabs to read the instructions and then perform the tasks. Depending on your physical computer setup, you could also move the two tabs to separate monitors. Task 1. Accessing the Cloud Console. Start the lab. Now that you understand the key features and components of a lab, click Start Lab. It may take a moment for the Google Cloud environment and credentials to spin up. When the timer starts counting down and the Start Lab button changes to a red End Lab button, everything is in place and you're ready to sign into the Cloud Console. Note: do not click the End Lab button until you have completed all the tasks in the lab. When you click the button, your temporary credentials are invalidated and you won't be able to access the work you've done throughout the lab. You must click this button when you finish. If you do not, you won't be able to take another lab. The Quick Labs platform has protections in place to prevent concurrent enrollment. Lab Details pane. Now that your lab instance is up and running, look at the Lab Details pane on the left. It contains an open Google Console button, credentials, username and password, and a project ID field. Note: your credentials will resemble but not match the image. Every lab instance generates new temporary credentials. Now examine each of these components. Open Google Cloud Console. This button opens the Cloud Console, the Web Console and Central Development Hub for Google Cloud. You will do the majority of your work in Google Cloud from this interface. Project ID. A Google Cloud project is an organizing entity for your Google Cloud resources. It often contains resources and services. For example, it may hold a pool of virtual machines, a set of databases, and a network that connects them together. Projects also contain settings and permissions, which specify security rules and who has access to what resources. Username and password. These credentials represent an identity in the Cloud Identity and Access Management (Cloud IAM) service. This identity has access permissions, a role or roles, that allow you to work with Google Cloud resources in the project you've been allocated. These credentials are temporary and will only work for the access time of the lab. When the timer reaches midnight, you will no longer have access to your Google Cloud project with those credentials. Sign into Google Cloud. Now that you have a better understanding of the Lab Details pane, use its contents to sign into the Cloud Console. Click Open Google Console. This opens the Google Cloud sign-in page in a new browser tab. If you've ever signed into a Google application like Gmail, this page should look familiar. The username from the Lab Details pane automatically fills in. Click Next. Copy the password from the Lab Connection pane, paste it in the password field, and click Next. Click I understand to indicate your acknowledgement of Google's terms of service and privacy policy. On the welcome page, check Terms of Service to agree to Google Cloud's Terms of Service, and click Agree and Continue. You've successfully accessed the Cloud Console with your student credentials. Your page should now look like this. Now that you have signed into the Cloud Console and understand the basics of your credentials, it's time to learn a little bit more about Google Cloud projects. Task 2. Projects in the Cloud Console. Google Cloud projects were explained in the section about the contents of the Lab Connection pane. Here's the definition once again. The upper left corner of the central pane contains a card labeled Project Info that looks like this. Your project has a name, number, and ID. These identifiers are frequently used when interacting with Google Cloud services. You are working with one project to get experience with a specific service or feature of Google Cloud. View all projects. You actually have access to more than one Google Cloud project. In fact, in some labs you may be given more than one project in order to complete the assigned tasks. In the Google Cloud Console title bar, next to your project name, click the drop-down menu. In the Select a Project dialog, click All. The resulting list of projects includes a Quick Labs Resources project. Note, do not switch over to the Quick Labs Resources project at this point. However, you may need to use it in other labs. It's not uncommon for large enterprises or experienced users of Google Cloud to have dozens to thousands of Google Cloud projects. Organizations use Google Cloud in different ways, so projects are a good method for organizing cloud computing services, by team or product, for example. The Quick Labs Resources project contains files, datasets, and machine images for certain labs and can be accessed from every Google Cloud Lab environment. It's important to note that Quick Labs Resources is shared, read-only, with all student users, which means that you cannot delete or modify it. The Google Cloud project that you are working with is temporary, which means that the project and everything it contains will be deleted when the lab ends. Whenever you start a new lab, you will be given access to one or more new Google Cloud projects, and there, not Quick Labs Resources, is where you will run all of the lab steps. Click Cancel to return to the Cloud Overview page. Navigation menu and services. The Google Cloud Console title bar also contains the navigation menu icon, which appears as 3 lines. Clicking this icon opens, or hides, the navigation menu that provides quick access to Google Cloud's core services. If the menu isn't open, click Navigation menu. Click More Products, then scroll through the categories of tools and services. This link takes you to documentation that covers each of these categories in more detail. Task 3. Roles and permissions. In addition to cloud computing services, Google Cloud also contains a collection of permissions and roles that define who has access to what resources. You can use the Cloud Identity and Access Management (Cloud IAM) service to inspect and modify these roles and permissions. View your roles and permissions 1. On the navigation menu, click IAM and Admin IAM. This opens a page that contains a list of users and specifies permissions and roles granted to specific accounts. 2. Find the student at Quick Labs username you signed in with. The following table pulls definitions from the roles documentation, which gives a brief overview of viewer, editor, and owner role permissions. Role/viewer. Permissions for read-only actions that do not affect state, such as viewing, but not modifying, existing resources or data. Role/editor. All viewer permissions, plus permissions for actions that modify state, such as changing existing resources. Role/owner. All editor permissions and permissions for the following actions: manage roles and permissions for a project and all resources within the project, set up billing for a project. As an editor, you can create, modify, and delete Google Cloud resources. However, you can't add or delete members from Google Cloud projects. Test your understanding. Task 4. APIs and services. Google Cloud APIs are a key part of Google Cloud. Like services, the 200 plus APIs, in areas that range from business administration to machine learning, all easily integrate with Google Cloud projects and applications. APIs are application programming interfaces that you can call directly or via the client libraries. Cloud APIs use resource-oriented design principles as described in the API Design Guide. When a lab provides a new Google Cloud project for a lab instance, it enables many APIs automatically so you can quickly start work on the lab's tasks. When you create your own Google Cloud projects outside of the lab environment, you will have to enable APIs yourself. Most cloud APIs provide you with detailed information on your project's usage of that API, including traffic levels, error rates, and even latencies, which helps you quickly triage problems with applications that use Google services. On the navigation menu, click APIs and Services Library. The left pane, under the header category, displays the different categories available. In the API search bar, type Dialogflow, and then click Dialogflow API. The Dialogflow description page opens. The Dialogflow API allows you to build rich conversational applications, example for Google Assistant, without having to understand the underlying machine learning and natural language schema. Click Enable. Click the back button in your browser to verify that the API is now enabled. Click Try this API. A new browser tab displays documentation for the Dialogflow API. Explore this information, and close the tab when you're finished. To return to the main page of the Cloud Console, on the navigation menu, click Cloud Overview. Note, you will now encounter a unique feature called Activity Tracking that assesses completion of a task. As you complete tasks and verify these with Check My Progress tests, notice that your score increases in the box in the upper right corner. This scoring determines lab completion towards the accomplishment of badges and credentials. Scoring also contributes to leaderboard position in lab games. In this case, activity tracking will verify if you completed enabling the Dialogflow API. Click Check My Progress to verify the objective. If you're interested in learning more about APIs, refer to the Google APIs Explorer directory. The lab, APIs Explorer, Quick Start, also provides hands-on experience with the tool, using a simple example. Including traffic levels, error rates, and even latencies, which helps you quickly triage problems with applications that use Google services. View available APIs. Test your understanding. Task 5. Ending your Lab 1. When you're finished with the lab, click End Lab and then click Submit to confirm it. Congratulations!